If you've been having trouble trying to figure out which golf rangefinder to buy, don't worry, you're not alone. With prices ranging from anywhere from $100 up to $600, it can be tough to know how much do you need to spend. Do you have to spend a lot? Do the cheap ones work? Which features are most important? Well, the good news for you is I've reviewed just about all of them. Over the last 4 years, I've reviewed over 40 golf rangefinders here at Breaking 80. That's good news for you because if you've been trying to figure out which one to buy and you're not sure how much you need to spend and which one's good and which one's bad and which features you need, I've done all that work for you. Today, I'm going to share with you my 10 favorite golf rangefinders on the market. We're going to cover everything from the cheapest ones to the most expensive ones, everything in between, different models with unique niche features that might be what you're looking for. We're going to cover it all, so at the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which rangefinder is right for you so that you can get quick and accurate distances on the golf course. You ready? Let's do this thing. Shooting this video this year has been particularly tricky because there really isn't one best overall. There's not an obvious one to point for that's like, yeah, you should just go buy this one. I've got a lot of recommendations, some of the ones that I think are best for most people that we're going to cover, but this market is getting kind of murky. And Bushnell, which was the obvious front runner for years, is not necessarily the front runner they used to be, or at least they don't have the dominance that they used to. So honestly, to prepare for this video, I spent the better part of a day going through all my old reviews, pulling out all of my old rangefinders. I've got a whole bunch of them sitting right here and going through the pros, the cons, the prices, because prices are all over the map right now. So one thing you should know is I'm shooting this in early June 2024. With these rangefinders, the market has gotten super competitive, so prices are changing all of the time. So the prices I'm going to give you in this video, they might be different, so do your own research. A lot of my recommendations are based on price and the value that a particular model has. So keep that in mind, and you might want to go check out my written review because if prices change dramatically or something new comes to the market, it's going to be much easier for me to update my written review, which is linked below. That will have all of the most up-to-date data. Another thing to note is that I've got relationships with most of these brands. I do not care which product you buy. My whole goal here is to help you find the right one. But if you click some of the links below, I will get an affiliate commission. And in many cases, you're going to get pricing you're not going to see anywhere else. So some of my recommendations are based on some of the special prices for Breaking 80 readers that drop the prices of some of these models down to levels I have not seen anywhere else. And that makes them a much better value. If all of this bothers you, if you think that makes me biased, I totally understand. There are plenty of other golf reviews out on the internet, but I have used every single one of these extensively. I really know what I'm talking about, and I honestly really don't care which one you buy, so I'm just going to give you my honest opinions on which ones I think are best for different needs. Now that we got all that out of the way, I'm going to start strong with some of my favorite models, and then we're going to work into some of the ones that have a little bit more niche applications. All right, so right out of the gate, the best rangefinder for most people, and that is the Voice Caddy TL1. I first reviewed the Voice Caddy TL1 about a year ago at its retail price of $450. In my last video, it made editor's choice because there wasn't a clear category for it, but at $450, it brought a lot to the table and was an excellent device. On a personal note about the TL1, there's a reason I'm not holding it. It's because of all of these rangefinders I have, my dad asked me if he could borrow one, and of all of the ones I've got that I could have given him, I gave him that one because I thought it was going to provide the best user experience out of all of these, and that was when I thought it was $450. So the fact that it's now a fraction of that, well, it just goes to show how much better of a value it has become. It is a dual color OLED display. It's got a built-in magnet. It's got a good slope mode. It has really good pin detection. It does everything really well, but at $450, there were a lot of other products that did things really well. So it turns out, and I literally just found this while I was doing my research to shoot this video, is that Voice Caddy is getting really aggressive with their pricing this year. So the Breaking 80 price that I will link to below is now $280. There is no rangefinder I have tested that is as good as this one for $280. I honestly think that that's going to be the best fit for most people. It's the most accurate, best features, best build quality at that price point. Next up is the best GPS rangefinder. So this is the brand new Precision Pro Titan Elite, and this is one of the better rangefinders I have used in a long time. It's got an aluminum body that's IP67 rated, so that means it's fully waterproof and fully dustproof. It's got a great weight to it. Precision Pro finally fixed their flag lock system that plagued the NX10, and overall, it's a phenomenal device. But here's the kicker with this one. It's got built-in GPS. So you pair it with your phone when you start the round, you click the range range button, you're going to get a traditional laser distance, but if you hit this button right here, it's going to switch and it is going to give you GPS yardages to the front, center, and back of the green. And being able to see that right in your viewfinder makes it super useful and super fast. You're not having to spend a whole bunch of time fumbling around with different devices to get GPS and laser distances. So while this is an excellent rangefinder just on its own, if all you're using it for is laser GPS distances, it's great. But if you don't use a GPS otherwise, so if you're not using Arcos, if you're not using a GPS watch, then the combination of laser and GPS makes this one of my absolute favorite products on the market. But if that GPS isn't useful for you, despite the fact this is an excellent rangefinder on its own, the fact you can get that voice caddy for like $80 to $100 cheaper, I think it just brings a little bit more to the table as a standard laser rangefinder. Next up, we have the most accurate rangefinder, and for that, I'm gonna go with the Cobalt Q6 Slope. So over the last 2 years, this is the product I have personally used the most. There is something about it that I just love. In particular, the optics. It's got 7x optics. All the ones I've mentioned so far are only 6x, and the 7x is just really nice. It just makes everything look very crisp and very clear. And the reason I say this is the most accurate is because it has one of the most accurate flag lock systems I have used. So it is only going to vibrate when it locks onto the flag, and I know with absolute certainty that it is locking onto the flag. It's not going to dance around on yardages. If it says 145 and I wait a minute and I go back and shoot it again, it's going to say 145 again. So that consistency really allows me to trust this device. There are two downsides to this though that may or may not be an issue for you. First off, there is no magnet. So if you tend to ride in a cart, you like being able to stick your rangefinder up on the cart, you're not going to be able to do that with this. The other downside to this is you cannot look at both your slope adjusted distance and your actual distance at the same time. You have to flip this switch. So you can range and then it'll give you 145 and then you flip it and it'll give you your slope adjusted distance to 142 or whatever it is. But you cannot see those numbers in the viewfinder at the same time. Despite those two drawbacks, this thing is a beast. It's accurate, its build quality is great, the optics look good, and is definitely worthy of its $450 price point. So despite increasing competition both in features and especially in price, this is one that I've personally just continued to come back to, and I continue to use it on a regular basis. I love it. Next up, best high-end rangefinder. Budget is not an issue. You can spend as much as you want. You probably got to go with this. This is the Bushnell Pro X3 Plus. Now, Bushnell, for years, was the king of rangefinders. Like, most people wouldn't even consider buying a rangefinder that wasn't a Bushnell. But over the last few years, everybody else has caught up. They're rolling out new features. They're doing it at price points that are a lot less expensive. And their customer service is, in many cases, much better. So for all intents and purposes, this is a fantastic device. The display is best in class. The optics are best in class. Accuracy is great. Build quality is phenomenal. But it's $600. And the new Pro X3 Plus, the only thing that this added over last year's Pro X3 is wind data. So it will give you the direction of the wind within your viewfinder. But to get that, you've got to pair it with the app, which adds an extra step, and sometimes it disconnects, and then you got to reconnect it. So I personally have not found that feature to be particularly useful, and in my opinion, it kind of got in the way. So if you really want a Bushnell rangefinder, and you want a high-end rangefinder, this is great, but I wouldn't buy it for the wind feature. What I would do if I were you is I would see if I could find last year's Pro X3, which I've seen discounted at $100 less. So I've seen those on Amazon and other sites for around $500, and if you can find that for $500, it is an excellent device. And this one, honestly, it's excellent too. I just don't think you need to spend $600 on a rangefinder these days to get accurate results in a device that's fun and easy to use. You can, and I doubt you'll be disappointed with it, but just know that these days you don't have to. So it wouldn't be a best rangefinders list if I didn't include this, but I definitely wanted to add in those caveats because things have changed a little bit. All right, now we're gonna go the opposite direction. Let's talk cheap rangefinders. What is the best rangefinder under $150? Well, my pick for that goes to the ShotScope Pro L2. Is this the best rangefinder I've ever used? No. Is it the most accurate rangefinder I've ever used? No. Is it the most fun to use rangefinder I've ever tested? No, it's none of those things, but it's fine. But at $150, it's going to get you accurate distances pretty easily. It's not quite as rock solid and reliable as some more expensive products, but it overall gets the job done. And I would say that at its retail price of $149. But you can use coupon code that I've listed below. That's going to drop it down to $127. And I have even seen it drop down to like $110 because that coupon code has typically continued to work even when they're running sales. So if you can get this for anywhere under $150, it's a great deal. You should be able to get it using using our code just about any time for $127, but if you find it under that, then it's kind of a no-brainer if you are on a budget. Again, not as good and not as enjoyable to use as many other products, but for that price point, you can't go too far wrong. All right, now this is kind of one of those niche products we talked about, and this is the best image stabilized rangefinder. So there's only a handful that I know of. There's one from Leupold and there's one from Nikon. That is this, the CoolShot Pro 2 Stabilized. And honestly, this rangefinder's been out for like 3 or 4 years now, but it is still one of the best rangefinders for what it does. So obviously Nikon, one of the best imaging companies out there, so they use the same technology that they use in their image stabilized camera lenses, and they put it in here. So if you tend to have shaky hands, if you have a difficult time locking onto flags with regular rangefinders, this is going to help you with that. Not only that, as you might expect, they're an optics company, and so the optics on this and the viewfinder are excellent. This might have been the very first one I ever tested that had a dual color OLED screen. And so even though this one's been out for a while, it still works great. And if you are looking for that image stabilized feature, this is definitely the one that I would recommend. Right now, you can usually find this for $400. Over the years, the cheapest I have ever seen it is around $335, but you can expect to pay around $400, and if you see it for anything less than that, it's a pretty good deal. All right, this is the newest device I have tested, and there's a whole bunch of things that go into this particular product, but we're calling this one Best for Cart Path Only. And the award goes to this, the Voice Caddy Laser Fit. So this is the tiniest, this is the smallest rangefinder I have tested, but it's a device that has a feature I've only seen on one other product. And that is, you can get the distance to any 2 points. So let's say you're cart path only, which is obviously one of the most annoying things you can do on a golf course, but you can sit in your cart, you can go find the ball, hit a button, you go point to the flag, hit a button, and it's going to give you the distance between those 2 spots. So if you don't want to take your rangefinder out to the ball, shoot it, go back, pick up some clubs, go back, you can use this to triangulate your distance from any 2 points, and it works really well. In fact, the only other device I've seen that does that is the Caddy Talk Cube, which I haven't used a ton, but I found this to simply be a little bit more user-friendly. Here's the caveat though. You would hope that a device that's predominantly used for cart path only or using with carts to have a magnet, because that's the most convenient feature on a rangefinder when you're using carts. Unfortunately, there is no magnet built into this. The build quality on it is also fine. It's a very nice looking product, but it does feel a little bit cheap. The optics on it, however, are surprisingly good at its price point. And similar to the TL1, there is special pricing on this where the retail price is only $199, which surprised me. I feel like given some of the features in this, I would have expected that to be a little bit higher. But again, Voice Caddy is being aggressive this year, so you can use the link below and you're gonna get it for 180 bucks. That makes this one of the best products I could recommend for under $200, but if you really like that triangulation feature, then I think this one becomes a bit of a no-brainer. All right, next category is most high tech. If you are a tech geek and you love tech gadgets, then this is the rangefinder you're going to want, and that is the Garmin Z82. It kind of surprises me that this has been out for almost 4 years now, and it still pretty easily wins most high tech. So yes, it'll work just like a regular laser rangefinder, but what's unique about it is it doesn't have optical glass in here. Instead, it has a screen. It's very similar to a screen you would see in a mirrorless camera viewfinder. And because it has a screen, it can do all sorts of cool stuff. For instance, when you look inside of it, you can get a GPS overlay of the hole that you're playing. So it'll give you hazard distances, distance to the green, and it does this while you're looking at the hole on the other side, so you can get an actual laser distance to the flag. You can keep score in this. It all syncs and pairs with the Garmin Golf app. So if you use the Garmin R10 or if you use CT10 sensors, it all works together in a pretty sleek and awesome system. That said, there are downsides to this. It's expensive at $600. You have to charge it via USB-C every round, so you have to remember to make sure to go and charge it after every round. And also, because there's so much stuff you can do in the screen, you end up spending a lot of time doing this during your round, which can sometimes get in the way of enjoying playing golf. But if you're a tech geek and you love the idea of all those high-tech features, definitely check this out. But for most people, if you like the idea of those GPS distances, I think you're probably going to be more happy with the Precision Pro Titan Elite. While it won't give you nearly as much data, it will give it to you quickly in a way that just doesn't interfere with your round in the way that this sometimes can. And while we're talking about smart rangefinders, I should also mention that there is the Voice Caddy SL3. They're not aggressively pricing this in the way that they are with some of the other ones. It retails for $600, and it's still going to be pretty close to that, but it has a screen back here rather than having to look through the viewfinder. So you can get all those GPS yardages by looking at this screen, which I tend to kind of prefer over the Garmin way of doing it, but it's a pretty cool device, and it definitely looks cool. But if you like the idea of a GPS smart rangefinder, this is the other one I would consider. All right, and our final category is kind of one of the messiest, and that's the best golf rangefinder under $200. Like I said, there's a pretty clear distinction under 150, that's the shot scope I mentioned before, but there's a whole bunch of products that are right around $200 that are all kind of the same, like some different features, but they all kind of get the job done in the same way. So I'm just gonna share a couple of my favorites and some of the pros and cons of each. So if that's your budget, you've got a little bit of an idea of where to go. For retail price, $200, the pick I would make if it was my money is I would go with this. This is the Tech Clear. Not only is it one of the most compact rangefinders, but I've also found the optics to be some of the best at that price point. This is one that often gets overlooked, but it's one I find myself recommending a lot when people are looking in this price range because honestly, it was better than I expected it to be, and even though it's been out for a couple of years, I still gravitate towards it and still really like it for that price. My wildcard pick at this price range is this. This is the Precision Pro NX9. In terms of all the things that matter, its usability is very similar to the more expensive NX10. The problem with this is it's not currently being sold on the Precision Pro website, and I don't know if it's going to come back. But as of now, in early June, you can get this for $190 on Amazon, and I think that is an excellent price for this particular device. It's reliable, it's fun to use, the optics are really good at that price point. When this came out, I'm pretty sure it retailed for $250, so to get this for $190 is not only a great value, but it's probably my favorite device you can get at that price point. I would take the Precision Pro NX9 over the Clear personally, but I just don't know how long we're gonna be able to get this. I don't know how long it's gonna be on Amazon. I don't know if it's coming back to the Precision Pro website, but because I did see it and because right now I know it's available, I figured I would mention it. Now that brings up a question some of you might have if you've seen my previous content, which is, what about the NX10? Why haven't you mentioned that? Previously, the NX10 is one of my highest reviewed rangefinders, and it's great. If you buy the Precision Pro NX10, I think you're going to love it. I still really, really like it. But in terms of a recommendation, the Titan Elite just came out. The build quality is a lot more robust being fully waterproof, it has the built-in GPS data, and they fixed the flag lock system, which was my big knock on the NX10. So personally, I think if you're in the market for a Precision Pro rangefinder, it's worth the extra money to go for the Titan Elite. And at that $280 range, I think the TL1 just as a better value. The flag lock system works better than the NX10, the optics are similar, and it's got that dual color OLED screen, all for $280. And if you're just looking for the best rangefinder under $300, the NX10 is going to be somewhere in the $270 range. You know, with sales and discounts, you can usually find it for around that. I just think the Voice Caddy's a better product at $280. So you're getting the dual color OLED screen, you're getting the better flag lock, you're getting build quality that's just as good, if not a little bit better. So you look at all those features, and I just think that most people are going to be happier with the Voice Caddy than the NX10. Nothing wrong with the NX10, it's great, but the fact they dropped the price so considerably on that for Breaking 80 readers. If you go to their website, I think it's $350. Still a great deal at that price, but at $280, it just kind of becomes a no-brainer. And I don't want to make it look like I'm pushing this product overly hard. I actually make more money recommending other rangefinders, and it wasn't going to be my recommendation until I started doing my research and figured out just what price they were offering it at. Because at $450, that's a tough sell, but at $280, it's kind of a no-brainer. So there you go. Those are my picks for the best golf rangefinders currently on the market in the middle of 2024. Honestly, the list changed more than I expected it to because so much of this is dependent not on features or performance, but it's about the price you're able to get those features and performance at. So as I mentioned, this is a product category that's very competitive, and as such, a lot of these products go on sale frequently. So if you're watching this and considering a couple of these different models, I would definitely do your research. Go check Amazon, go check the manufacturer's websites, go check playbetter.com, go check Golf Galaxy, see where the prices are because you might find sales you weren't otherwise expecting. And again, make sure you check the links below that will have any coupon codes or special pricing you get for being a Breaking 80 viewer. And as always, if you think that makes me biased, totally understand, go do your own research, but I'm genuinely just trying to help you find the right product for you at the best price possible. So with that, my name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80. If you're still not sure which one of these is right for you, go take our 30-second quiz. You're gonna answer some questions around what your needs are, and I'm going to give you my best recommendation based on those needs. I think you will find it super useful. Have an excellent day, and I hope to see you on the next video. Peace.